Last week was pretty rough. A lot of things went wrong and I kind of felt extremely unmotivated. I even struggled to get up in the morning. However, I wasn't really worried because 1 week in comparison to 4,679 weeks is nothing. That's how many weeks I would live if I'm going to witness my 90th birthday. But let's be honest, most of us won't make it to 90 because life expectancy in the US, for example, is just below 80. But for some weird reason, when you are in your 20s, 30s, or even 40s, you assume like you're going to live forever. But the truth is, you would be lucky even if you make it to your 80s. Because if you would live in Greenland, for example, you most likely won't even celebrate your 70th birthday. Just because you are living in the US, you have an extra 450 weeks. But that's not the worst place to live in, because in Senegal, men on average don't make it past the 60. They live 19 years shorter than average person in the US. And in Chad, men hardly celebrate their 50th birthday. But even 80 years isn't really as long as you might imagine. If all of your life would be summarized in little cubics, then this is your entire life. But that's assuming that you're going to be one of the few individuals who are going to hit 100. But in reality, we'll have to take out 2 cubics. That would be more accurate. How about we try to be a little bit more precise? How about we take a look at your life in months? If each circle is a full month, then this is basically your entire life. This is when you're born, this is when you hit your 20, then 30, then finally 60. And the last 20 years of your life most probably aren't going to be as exciting as your 20s. 1 month might seem like a long time, but take a moment and think about how fast the last month has passed. In a blink of an eye, right? How about the last week? Even faster. How would your life would look if we measure it in weeks? When you think about it that way, it seems like you have an infinite amount of weeks. So I'm going to disappoint you. I'm sorry. If each row represents an entire year, that's how many weeks it takes to turn a newborn baby into an 80-year-old man. In the first 234 weeks, you're going to make your first steps and start walking. Your mom will be showing you different pictures to help you to speak. And when you accidentally say daddy, your parents will go crazy. At the week 235th, you are going to go to school for the first time and will spend there over a decade. In your 445th week, you will be allowed to drive if you are in South Dakota. Otherwise, you will have to wait another 55 weeks. Somewhere around here, you're going to meet your best friends and will fall in love for the first time. Falling in love when you're a little naive kid is way more romantic than when you grow up and realize the world is a harsh place to be in. So if you're still there, enjoy that love, because love isn't gonna be the same later in your life. Here you can vote. You're finally treated as an adult. By the way, you can start smoking now as well. Dozens of weeks later, you enroll in college, and that's only when you're legally allowed to drink. 78 weeks later, you will be at your graduating ceremony. Your dad most probably got married here. 15 weeks later after his graduation. But you won't, because times has changed and most people aren't in a rush to get married. At least in the most of the developed world. However, even today, that's when on average most women have their first child. By 28, you will fall in love again, but this time you will decide to marry her. If you find out that this was a mistake, here is where you will get a divorce. Of course, you aren't going to stick to a single job your entire life. You will be changing your job every 229 weeks. But you can't be working your entire life. At 63, you will retire, and if you're lucky, you will see your grandchildren somewhere around there. Because as a man, you probably won't make it past the 76, and as a woman, you will live a few more 100 weeks till you make it to this dot. I'm sure that you have a lot of plans. Since you're watching this video, you don't simply want to live your life, but at least achieve something. Maybe you want to start your own company, become a singer, a writer, or the head of a giant corporation. You might be in your 20s, maybe 30s, and you believe that you still have the time. But how do you think you are doing compared to other great people like Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein? Here Einstein published his theory of special relativity. Here Newton invents calculus. Here again Einstein releases his famous formula. And here Newton develops his law of gravitation. The question is, where are you in this graph and what you have accomplished? Do not think for a moment that you still have the time. Some of the most famous people you know did not even make it to their 40s or even 50s. Jim Morrison, the famous singer and the songwriter, passed away here. Marilyn Monroe did not even witness her 37th birthday. Martin Luther King passed away at his 39th birthday. JFK was shot here. Michael Jackson did not even complete his 52nd year. Lincoln was assassinated here, and Steve Jobs died out of cancer right here. In all honesty, you don't have as much time as you might think. And even if you make it to your 100th birthday, the entire world will be talking about you. Currently, the eldest person in the world is Kane Tanaka. She is 116 years old. This means her birthday is closer to the death of Napoleon Bonaparte than to the 21st century. When she was a baby, there was still Austro-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and the Russian Empire, and the world was a completely different place from what we know it today. She witnessed World War I, the sinking of Titanic, the Russian Revolution, the Great Depression, World War II, Sputnik, the moon landing, and how the world thought that the world will end in the year 2000, but it seems like it didn't. But what about you? What are you going to witness in your life? What are the major events that are going to take place in your lifetime? You probably won't witness any world wars, hopefully, because of mutual assured distraction. But our generation will witness the first person to ever step on Martian soil, and space travel will be something common among the rich. The ice in the Arctic Sea will completely vanish by 2037. In 2038, we'll finally know what happened. The US National Archives will finally declassify the mystery of John Kennedy's assassination. By 2050, the global population most likely will hit 10 billion, and together with global warming, we'll witness the biggest refugee crisis in history. 83% of the Amazon rainforest will be gone by 2100, and hundreds of species of birds will be extinct. Somewhere around that period, the internet will be in your contact lenses. You will be able to download any movie, song, website, or piece of information off the internet directly onto your internet-enabled contact lenses. Chances that you will witness all of that are quite high, because life expectancy was just under 47 in 1900, and in 2019 it has reached 80. We almost doubled it. So if the tech keeps growing at its current rate, you probably will live to your 100th birthday and will witness all of the technological progress that will happen till then. But regardless of how many years you live, 80, 100, 120, eventually there will be an end, and your 100 years that seems long are literally nothing compared to the age of humanity, which is 200,000 years. But life exists on our planet for 3.5 billion years. However, the planet itself is 4.5 billion years old. How long are your 100 years compared to 4.5 billion years? The universe itself has been in existence for much longer, almost 14 billion years. And no matter how long you're going to live, the planet is going to exist for billions of years after you die, and one day it's going to explode and vanish from existence. In fact, if you think about it, our planet is absolutely nothing compared to the hundreds of billions of stars that are in our galaxy. And the observable universe is filled with such galaxies that are even bigger. In the middle of billions of years and unbelievable scale of the universe, you are blessed with 80 years of existence. Once and only once. Every second that passes by is never going to be back. Whether your startup fails or you break up with your girlfriend, nothing really matters because time doesn't care. It's not going to wait for you, nor will it understand your midlife crisis. You are going to die and turn into dust, and no one would ever care about you. Every time you feel unmotivated, frustrated, anxious, or just angry that life isn't treating you fair, take a look at your watch. You've got 42 million minutes. And if you are 25 already, you only have 34 million minutes left. and every minute that's passing by is never going to be back. And they're going to pass as fast as the last 13 million minutes. You don't have much time left. What are you going to do?